Okay, hello everyone. Welcome and good morning and good afternoon. My name is Helga Foxstad. I am the Executive Director of PMNCH. It is great to see so many familiar faces, names, old ones and new ones. So we are here today as you have been accepted to co-lead and co-design a core thematic session of the Global Forum for Adolescent program, which will take place on the 11th and 12th of October. So as the PMNCH board has decided, the forum is a major milestone of the multi-year 1.8 Young People for Change campaign, and also for our own 5-year PMNCH strategy. So common for the objectives of the campaign and the Global Forum conference, and each and every plenary and core thematic session is that they must in some way or another contribute to the identification, evidence, mobilization, monitoring, and accountability of programmatic, financial, or political commitments for adolescent well-being. So either the interventions or sharing best practices, forging consensus to mobilize for these commitments, or forging consensus on the monitoring framework and the accountability process. So, and as well as next steps. So this is kind of the intent, and it must be a red thread through each session, each plenary, so that one really feels that each of the core sessions are contributing to better knowledge, to better consensus building, to better commitment mobilization, and a better accountability framework. So please bear that in mind in your work. So with only 3 months remaining until October, we have a lot to do. And however, I am so confident with the strength and passion of each one of you who comprise of this dynamic group, programmatic program group for GFA, we will be able to shape a useful and inspiring program which will move the agenda for adolescents and make it more integral part of achieving the SDGs. So the objective of today's session is to ensure that all of our partners understand the purpose, objectives, and co-design process of the forum. The objective is also to establish a space where each one of you can come with questions, concerns, seek clarification. It also is an opportunity to clarify the support that the GFA partners that you can expect from the PMNCH Secretariat, focal points, and also Secretariat at large. Furthermore, we want to share with you the functionality and also opportunities of the GFA virtual platform so that you can better understand how your session can and will be structured and what the conference virtually would look like. So without further ado, I would like to start us off with a short video and then on the global forum, and then I'll pass it on to our Anshu. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. So over to you, Anshu.
Thanks very much, Helga. Echoing Helga's welcome, and also just to my role here today, and when we've worked closely with you over the last few years, but just to, while Sophie's pulling up the slides, those who don't know us as well as some on the screen that I see, the GFA is a culmination of almost 3 years of work, and this is not the end all. This conversation continues beyond the GFA, and it builds on a huge body of evidence that we have developed along with partners, including the H6, and as well as what we are doing with What Young People Want, which is gathering 1 million voices of adolescents and young people, both digitally and in an analog format, to make sure that those voices are included in the agenda for action that will set the tone for the 1.8 billion campaign. So this piece is a starting point, and the work that you're doing is going to be seminal in feeding into that campaign. Sophie, are we able to pull up the slides? And so for those of you who know us well, this content may be familiar, but for those who don't, this is new piece of information, and we've been very intentional in the agenda where I'll request other colleagues on the call to please mute yourself. There's an echo. So we have been very intentional in keeping the presentation very short so that you're able to ask us as many questions as possible, because we are on a journey now over the next 8 weeks, and which will see the richness of your engagement with the GFA and the Adolescent Wellbeing format come true. So the objectives of the Global Forum for Adolescents is to equip and amplify a youth movement. And this has various components, you know, the What Young People Want, the various consultations we've been having with different constituencies, and also the GFA national event. So we have, our ambition is to move forward or to facilitate partners in organizing more than 100 national level events leading up to the GFA. Some have taken place, some are being planned. Some of you are engaged in those national events. So that is one of the objectives, to bring together people and bring together stakeholders and create a movement. The second objective is to strengthen coalitions to support and advocate for adolescent well-being. Most of you, this is almost like preaching to the choir, because the reason why we're here is we know that adolescent well-being is an under-resourced, not very well focused upon area by all stakeholders, including partner governments, where it is often deprioritized. The most critical and central element of the Global Forum is to mobilize for new high-level political and financial commitments. And we've started on this journey about 6 months ago, working with select group of countries to come to the forum with political and financial commitments. And once again, like I said earlier, that this conversation does not stop at the forum, but we continue. And finally, kickstarting the redesign of national policies and programs for adolescent well-being, building on the work we've done with evidence and the toolkits that we are in the process of developing. And this include, of course, the What Young People Want, the Adolescent Well-being PMNCH collection that came out earlier this year, and also in October last year, the investment case for adolescent well-being, which is going to be a central key tool in helping member states develop cases for domestic resource mobilization for this population group. And finally, the monitoring framework for measuring adolescent well-being. In addition, we are working with partners on the Global AHA, which is the updated version of the Universal Toolkit for Designing Adolescent Well-being Program, the NCD Alliance Policy Brief, which is brings in other sectors, speaks to other morbidities, and also bringing in other sectors through the African Union Strategy for Education for Adolescents. So multiple objectives, but with the single red thread of ensuring that there is political commitment, there is a financial articulation of how stakeholders are going to promote adolescent well-being in national programs and policies. The core content of the GFA will speak to different aspects and will relate to various gap areas where we are seeking commitment from national partners. Sophie, if we could move to the next one, please. This is again something which is familiar to most colleagues on the call. This is the GFA program. We have the inspiration for the program comes from the 5 domain of the Adolescent Wellbeing Framework and the 27 subdomains. These are namely good health and optimum nutrition, connectedness, positive values, safety and supportive environment, learning competence, education skills and employability, agency and resilience. Again, this is a very wide universe. That's because adolescents are not homogeneous. It's a heterogeneous group. Their needs are unique. They live in different settings. So we have a broader chapeau for their needs and for their demands to see where we need interventions. Next one, please, Sophie. This is just to highlight a little bit of the PMNCH's work that we do. Helga mentioned the priority areas are MNCH, SRHR, and adolescent well-being. If you look at the column which has got the green in it, those are the specific areas which is the starting point of a conversation. What we are looking for adolescent well-being through the GFA, the 1.8 billion campaign, and mobilizing of commitments are 4 key commitment areas, and these include national policy and program for adolescents, which are offering information, services, including areas like health education, ASHR, CSE, nutrition, financial protection, and vocational training. We are also looking at setting commitments on setting standard for deliverables of adolescent well-being information, legal systems. This is the gray area where adolescents also fall in between cracks. And finally, the proof of the pudding is in adolescent well-being being embedded into the national programs and policies. Next one, Sophie. I think this is my last slide, just to give you a flavor of the programming. And we focused on the different domains of the program, of the adolescent well-being work. And then accordingly, we've got 5 tracks for the GFA program. This include good health and well-being. And within the good health and well-being, we have specific core sessions in a total of 22 core sessions. Most of you know that we got approximately 270 response to the expressions of interest, and the Secretariat, along with the program action group, had a very tough job on zeroing in on those 22. These 22 are also an amalgamation of various EOIs that we received. So the good health and the well-being track focuses on adolescent-friendly health services, menstrual hygiene, substance use, adolescent and youth HIV and AIDS, SRHR. Again, highlighting that these are specific areas connected to where we are seeking commitments, because these indicate gaps. This is where gaps are within specific areas. And again, with the GFA Core program, we've been extremely intentional in making sure that the conversation is around issues that are not part of your regular conferences. So you will see in subsequent tracks, we have in connectedness, positive value and contribution to society. We have mental health and youth approaches for improving mental health, youth on forefront of climate change and emerging and topical issue, and the role of family and caregivers, very much acknowledging the ecological approach that we've taken to adolescent well-being. Supportive safety and supportive environment. We tackle digital and online artificial intelligence, SOGI, sexual orientation and gender identity, violence, masculinity, road safety. Track D, learning competencies, education, employability. We speak to education, the intersection of education and nutrition. We speak to education and skill-based system strengthening, comprehensive sexuality education, and most of all, young professionals in public health. Finally, track E, agency and resilience, speaks to MAIE, which has been a PMNCH focus area for the last 6 years or so, which is meaningful adolescent and youth engagement, as well as civic engagement, agency, resilience, disabilities, and humanitarian. And then, of course, the bottom line, Sophie, I don't think colleagues can see it. If we can move the slide up a little bit, the cross-cutting area of humanitarian and fragile setting. This is the sum total of the program. In addition to the 22 programs, 22 core sessions, we have skill building sessions which take colleagues through various tools that are being designed, studies, case studies, which will be useful. And we are also, there is a nod to innovation and pilot projects that are scalable. So I'm going to stop here to keep steadfast to my promise of giving you more time for Q&A and handing it over to Sophie, who is going to go through roles and responsibilities of the PMNCH Secretariat, as well as expectations from core partners on how to build the sessions. Sophie, over to you.
Thank you, Anshu, and thank you everyone for coming today. As you know, I'm Sophie Marie Kosteletsky. I'm leading on the development of the core session program, and you've probably received an email from me the past week, probably more than one. So happy and welcome for you all to be here. The GFA core session development, what we're really trying to focus on this session is just outline key roles of the GFA partner, your role, and the PMNCH Secretariat role. You will have received an event briefing guide, but this is just to reiterate those few points here. As a GFA partner working on a core session or on a product launch session, because we do have partners working on product launches here today with us, your kind of main task will be to develop a session concept note in line with all the partners that have been joined on with your proposal. That will also include a run of show and any kind of content in any area of adolescent well-being that it will be focused on. Second of all, we really encourage you to engage youth and adolescents meaningful in the session development from the get-go of this process. 3, you will be in charge of identifying and managing speakers, moderators, handling the invitations and briefings, and collecting speaker biographies, which we on the PMNCH side will collect for you. Furthermore, we would really encourage you to promote the session and the global forum through your communications channels, utilizing the PMNCH toolkit, which we'll provide and send to you as well. And 5, most importantly, on the day of the global forum for lessons, you will be responsible for executing the session on the event day, and we will be supporting you with the tech agency and, of course, any information relevant to the platform, which my colleague David will touch upon later on this presentation. So as we have now brought all these kind of different EOIs together, and we're really loving the collaborative effort that we've already seen this week. We've had different groups already meeting once, and we're really seeing a lot of the EOIs come together to make very good and strong sessions. To ensure the sessions are really strong, we want to reiterate some of the criteria that we had at the beginning. One was to ensure the geographical diversity of the speakers and the moderators. One was to ensure the sector diversity. Are the voices being heard from the private sector? Is it foundations? Is it UN, NGO, civil society? And of course, most importantly, adolescents and youth constituencies. 3, we really want to ensure that adolescents and young people are given a speaking role, and that is not just tokenistic. So please consider this as when you're developing your session as a way to strengthen your session. 4, we really want strong session objectives, and these should really be clear and coming through any part of your concept note. These can be also strengthened with the use of case studies and lived experiences, adding that human element to a very virtual conference, but still keeping it very global and national, and really bringing those perspectives of young people and adolescents and those who are really affected by the problems of the world today. And the final point is about the interactivity of the session. As this is virtual, we do still want this to be as exciting as possible, and David will be able to tell you more about how to make this interactive later on in this presentation as well. So just to outline some of the roles that PMNCH will play in this, as you know, each one of you has gotten an email this week from either myself or another PMNCH focal point, as well as our project management agency. So we will be the point of contact for you. If you have any problems, any concerns, please feel free to reach out. I will also put my email in the chat in case you do not have it. Part of our role will be also providing guidance and feedback on the session content, and we will be leveraging the expertise of the GFA Program Action Group, who has overseen the development and the guidance of this core program. Furthermore, speaking and reiterating some of what Anshu has said, is we're also in charge of creating and coordinating content from the promotion of different product launches, the What Young People Want results, national events, art for well-being competitions, various skill building sessions, research programs, innovation hubs, and to really make these sessions even stronger. So feel free to lean on any of this content. We will be providing it to you, whether you use it or not, but we would really like it to be part of the core sessions, either as part of the well-being break or within your session to add some more life to your session. More importantly, we are also going to be supporting and implementing my principles, so meaningful adolescent youth engagement principles. If there's any queries on this, please reach out. We do have a lot of guidance on how to do this the best way possible. Furthermore, we're also going to be assisting in the technical deliverance of the event, i.e. managing the interpreters, translation, French, Spanish, and English will be provided for us. If you are interested in having it in a different language, please reach out. We cannot make any promises at this stage, but we would be happy to accommodate you if it's possible. And of course, we'll be facilitating interactivity and of course, any kind of tech troubleshooting with the platform. Furthermore, we're going to be providing some communication and branding to really get the word out for your sessions, which we'll be talking more about at the end of this presentation as part of the timelines and the next steps. So without further ado, I think I'm going to hand over to David because we all want to know more about this virtual platform. So over to you.
Thank you very much, Sophie, and good afternoon, everyone. So yeah, my name is David Gomez. I will be your focal point for the technology or like the virtual platform itself. So this platform is equipped to host live pre-recorded hybrid sessions. So knowing the format of your session is going to be very important for us in advance, but all of it is possible. There is a range of interactive features. The idea is that all of your sessions have some level of interaction. So especially when they are live and especially when they're hybrid sessions, there will be some components on this platform that can help you achieve that level of interactivity. Polls, word clouds, Q&As, and etc. that we bit. Attendees will be able to navigate across all the sessions and also different virtual spaces within the platform, like for example, product launches and innovation space. So there are a lot of platforms and a lot of features that people will be able to interact in a seamless manner. They will also be able to schedule their own agenda. So we know it's a very packed 2 days of virtual events. They will also be able to find what is relevant to them and schedule it and again, get reminders of what the session is happening. And, notifications across the 2 days will be given and guidance on how to interact with your sessions and with the global forum as a whole. So right now, and with no further ado, I would like to introduce you to our partner from GeorgV, which is the partner that is helping us coordinate with the event platform provider and ourselves. Definitely, I will be your focal point from a PMNCH perspective, and I will be working on hand-to-hand with Tom, that is joining us here today as well. Tom, over to you.
Hi, thanks, David. Hi, everyone. It's great to be joining you for the 1.8 campaign. If you don't mind, I'm gonna share my screen with you just now and showcase the platform. So if you just give me 1 second. David, can you just please let me know if you can see my screen?
Yes, all good.
Perfect. So everyone, welcome to the virtual platform. This is the first landing page where all the attendees will be joining from. Just as a disclaimer at the beginning, this is not the final version. So any of we're still figuring out the exact design and some of the key features. So just bear it in mind. Yeah, this is what we call the virtual lobby where all the attendees will join. And as you can see from here, as David was saying, there's quite a lot happening. The attendees will be able to join the main sessions. We have just a few examples here, but this area will be full of your sessions. We also have our innovation section on the right hand side, and there's potential for additional virtual booths. So this is something that me and David are putting together at the moment. As David was saying, there's a lot of opportunities for the participants to sort their own agenda. So there's a couple of panels on the left-hand side where people will be able to choose those sessions that are relevant for them, and they will also be able to update their personal information. So it's very there's a lot of scope for making it as bespoke as possible for the participants to ensure the best possible attendee journey, if you will. In terms of the main sessions, which is what you are here to manage, I'm gonna open an example, first one. So this is how our sort of virtual room looks like. So this is obviously there's nothing happening at the moment, but in this main session in the middle, which is where our live stream is going to be. As David was saying, this can be either live, so or pre-recorded. So I think we'll get to that later on with the timelines. From the main thing that the platform adds is the interactivity, as David was saying. So for that, on the right-hand side corner, so right-hand side of the panel, you can see there's a couple of features that we can use. The big one is the group chat. So you will be able to engage with all the attendees joining through the platform in a group chat in here. We'll also have live Q&As. So this is where, if you have any, for example, panel sessions or Q&As with speakers as part of your session, this feature can be enabled. And this is where your attendees can submit their questions directly using the platform. You'll notice there's a feature of sort of upvoting the questions. So other attendees can sort of give their like, and then we'll see the question sorted out by kind of how many people like the question, how many people want that question to be addressed potentially. Another feature you can use if you wish to is polls as part of the session. Again, this is entirely up to you if you want to utilize this or not, and you can make those polls kind of bespoke based on your content. The last kind of main feature that you can use to interact with participants is the features here called files. So basically, you can upload any additional documents or supporting documents that you want to share with your participants. So whether it's for examples of case studies that are being referenced in a panel show, or any short presentations or anything like that, this can be shared here, so your participants can download it directly from the website, from the platform. In terms of the chat, and yeah, in terms of the chat, just one thing I want to point out, that this feature is moderated. So this would be one of your teams potentially being logged in with what we call moderator permissions. So at the moment, there's message from me, which went directly to the group chat. If any of the sort of standard participants share any message, it will have to be approved before it gets published, so we can sort of moderate and make sure that nothing inappropriate gets published. At the same time, you will have the ability to pin any specific messages that you want to keep at the top of the group chat. So this really allows you to send across any important messages and make sure that they're visible to all participants straight away. Last thing, in terms of this virtual room, at the bottom, you see there's a description area. So here participants can read more about your session. So if you want to do a specific timeline of your session, or add additional information about the speakers, you can add this in the section right here. So I hope that sort of makes sense from the virtual room perspective. I'm going to go back to the virtual lobby, and from here, just a few additional bits and pieces to share. So we've seen there's the innovation station, which is available here on the right-hand side, but you can also access it on the left side panel. So here we said the logos are a bit bigger, and then as we add more sort of innovation stations, the virtual booths, this is going to be filled, and we can have there's no limit on how many we can have. There's also social media feature. So this is a great way for your attendees to really engage with the forum and with your wider campaign as well. Last thing from my end I wanted to highlight is specific networking rooms. So obviously, as part of your main sessions, you can engage with participants in terms of the group chat, the live Q&As, etc., etc. In this section, we can set up specific networking rooms for either specific regional hubs, or if you want to do by specific theme, specific strand of your agenda, that's kind of up to you, or up to David mainly. And this can be set up in a way that participants can join in and perhaps expand on discussion that's been started as part of your main session. So I think this is a sort of rough outline of the platform. David, is there anything you would like me to particularly highlight at this point, or am I good to stop sharing my screen?
Yes, thanks, Tom. Just a couple of things. So first of all is talking about accessibility. So all of the platform is designed, and the way that we actually chose this vendor was because it allowed accessibility already embedded into the platform. It doesn't need any external integration or anything. It is already thought for being an inclusive platform. So all of you all you need to worry about is on a original fit, and PMNCH will make sure that all the content is simultaneously translated into Spanish and French. Even if the event is pre-recorded, we're going to offer that as well. So if Spanish and French is going to be available, international sign language is also going to be embedded into all of the sessions, and closed captioning as well. So we have thought about that. Another thing that is important for you to know is we understand that not everyone has the same access to internet. This platform adapts to the network of the person, but the worst case scenario is that they cannot open the platform. The bandwidth is very, very low. All of the main session or main plenaries are going to be live streamed as well in YouTube. So that basically is like the lowest amount of bandwidth that a user can have. So we are providing that as well as a resource for people that might have struggles with internet bandwidth. Something else, Tom, that I would like you to mention is if you can show is the files. So I know that a lot of you, while you are planning your sessions or what you have already in plan, want to share certain documentation. So there is a specific section within your space of the session where you can share those and people can easily access them. So Tom, if you can just show us that, I think we can open up for questions after that.
Yes, so if you can still share my screen, so within your virtual session, on the right-hand side, there's our chat Q&As, and right at the bottom, you can see the file tab. So at the moment, there's no tabs uploaded, but in this main section, this is where your documents, your files will be shared. So yeah, as attendees can download it out directly from here.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Tom. On the upcoming days, we are working on a PDF document that would highlight all of the requirements that we need from you, specific timelines on where we need to know, for example, the format, your speakers, the lower tiers that we're going to use, because then we can produce the event. Everything is going to be 1.8 branded, of course. So then we need to make sure that everything is set in advance. So please stay tuned for that PDF document where it will have everything that you need to know in terms of like how to interact with the platform from an organizer point of view. And this is over from my side. Again, over to you, Sophie, and open to any questions that the panel has. Sorry, the public here has.
Sorry, I'm just having trouble sharing my screen, but we're going to go open the floor for Q&A, which will be moderated for Anshu while I get the slides up.
I see one question on the chat. I would like to take it just in the meantime. So yes, we can do dry runs and we can test that everything is working perfectly for each of the sessions.
And I just want to also add to what David has said, that the platform is going to be accessible 48 hours in advance. So you can come, explore, and have, if you have questions, then you can come in and ask David, Sophie, myself. We are going to be in the standby mode for you to come to us, and happy to help and facilitate. Super. Very quickly, we want to cover timelines and next steps and then open it for Q&A. Sophie? Thank you very much. So this is the week that we are talking of, the week of the 24th to 31st July, nearly at the end of it. Partners to meet and align on sessions and concept note development. Out of the 22 concept sessions, we've had meeting with eight partners who are leading on concept note. On the week of the 1st of August or 1st of August itself, and there are few of you who have already questioned and asked for this to provide more guidance on technical and logistics issues. That's coming your way. David has already mentioned in the week of 23rd of August. Now, this is the crunch time. In the week of the 23rd of August, we would be requesting all of you to kindly submit or to share with us the fully developed concept note with run of shows and speaker identified. By that time, you would know your speakers, the shape, the form, which part is to be pre-recorded, which part goes live, and from our side, the Secretariat is going to connect you to relevant tools relevant academic evidence pieces so that they can be featured from your side as well as our side. So we are connecting the dots for each of the sessions, and also relevant conversations that are happening at the national level. So your piece becomes a complete piece, and there will be a secretariat. There is a secretariat focal point assigned to your session, and they will be responsible for making those connections. We will do a very short turnaround, and then we will reach back to you on the 30th of August. By 22nd of September, we hope that partners will submit the sessions and information required as per the technical and logistics checklist. The week of the 25th to 29th of September, please remember we will be in the midst of the GA, so there is a bit of crunch time. So it's good to follow timelines starting now. Will be the final briefing calls in the week of 25th and 29th of September with PMNCH and partners, and tada. Then we actually get to the forum on the 11th and 12th of October. So fruition and coming to realization of a first big milestone of the 1.8 billion campaign, which is the Global Forum for Adolescents. Now, these are timelines. Please review them. Questions, ask us questions as needed. And finally, very quickly, a request from our side to you, which is this is what we need to start thinking of in terms of social media and communication request, noting that we have been very mindful not to have an in-person event based on the requests made to us by adolescent and youth leaders for this to be in support of the climate change movement, and also to get as much traction as possible on while the forum is on, and also in amplifying messages. So we are requesting partners to share with us in advance logos, name of their communication focal point, so we can connect them to Mihail, my colleague who leads on the communication, and his team to amplify messaging. Social media handled, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Partners to also note whether they're a part of any other PMNCH working group, so that we are able to connect dots internally and externally, and development of the speaker card, which we will take on. But for that, we need full name, title, 150 characters, organizations, headshot, all the bells and whistles once confirmed. These speaker shots will be used in amplifying and promoting speakers and sessions. And finally, our last request is core session partners to promote the sessions on social media. And as we all know, the registrations are open. That's it from my side. We will then stop for Q&A. Sophie, back to you.
Thanks very much, Anshu. Well, floor is open. Please feel free to ask your questions.
We have a question in the chat for when will the registration be open for attendees from Shaima.
So it's open now. You are welcome to register. The registration is open now. Any other question from colleagues on the call? Any other request or area of support that colleagues may need? Please come in, Haley.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for this session and for all the work that's gone into it. I realize that this question is a long shot, but I'm probably not the only one thinking it. I'm wondering if there's any chance that the sessions can be made longer than 50 minutes, given all that we need to cover during them, the 2 to 3 adolescent speakers, the multi-sectoral representation, and the participation.
Any other questions? I'll take on Haley's question then. It is slightly difficult to extend, and we debated amongst ourselves before setting very hard limit in terms of the minutes that you have. We want as much engagement as possible, given that most of these sessions are virtual. People tend to log off, and this has been done by design to make sure that interventions are short, crisp, and able to retain attention. And it's evidence-based. So we did a study on viewer engagement, and that's why we put in the various elements. But there are other ways of engaging. So the live chat moderation is one way to engage. Messaging before and after is another way to engage. And remember, please, that this is not the only conversation. We are linking it to what has happened in the past. So we are carrying some of the conversations that we had at Women Deliver, using them, and then we will carry them forward to the ICPD next year and the Summit of the Future and various platforms that are made available to us. I hope that was useful, Haley. Please come in. I see another hand up.
Hello, my name is Harshita. I just had a question with regards to the speakers. From what we've read from the emails and everything, you said 3 to 5 speakers, 3 minimum and 5 maximum would be appreciated, in which you've included that, it would be preferable to have young speakers and not tokenistic, but also some people from the experienced field and regional and gender balance and all of that. Since you've combined a lot of organizations for like these core sessions going forward, I was just wondering how exactly that works out, and if you could like give us any further insight into the same, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Arshita. I think those sessions that we've been planning, we've been supporting you in planning and bringing together partners, is a good meeting point for partners to come together and see what priorities out of the framework they would want to. One principle we would certainly not want to compromise is meaningful adolescent and youth engagement, and we recommend very, very strongly to not forego of that principle. This is a global forum for adolescents, and so we do want to stick to that principle of having one youth speaker, an adolescent speaker. But again, it depends on the nature of the session and the conversations that you're having with your partners. The spirit behind bringing together multiple partners was that you're all champions of the issue, and the message becomes stronger if you're consolidated. And we're a partnership, so our business is to bring partners together on an issue. So and that's why we have those coordination calls, so that you're able to navigate these conversations and land on a mix that is very right for your concurrent session and for the issue at hand.
Thank you. That really clarifies it for me.
Thanks very much. There are heaps of questions in the chat, but if colleagues want to come in, unmute and ask us questions, I'm mindful we don't have much time, but actually we do. We do have 14 more minutes, so please do come in with questions. Shamia.
Oh, yes. I have a question about engaging youth in during the sessions, and which may require translation from local languages different than French or Spanish to English. Would this be an option?
David, can I deflect this to you?
This is something that we need to consider. So let me see if you can let me know what is the language that you're thinking of, because they know there is a lot of implications on doing so. So if you can just let me know what is the language, and if it's just one person, if it's the whole panel, and then we can then move forward with the discussion. But let us explore.
Yes, sure. I can email you with details. It's going to be from Arabic to English, for example. But I can send you emails about who's going to speak in different language.
Okay. Let us explore that possibility.
Right.
As of now, the plan is English, Spanish, and French, but let us explore the possibility.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, David, colleagues. I do have a question on, do we have a list of national events? Yes, there is a list of national events. There is a registry of national events on the PMNCH website. We are very happy to share. And if you have specific questions, we would be very happy to connect you to partners who are holding these national events in the country. So for example, if you have a case study going in Zambia, and if we know of partners who are holding specific events in Zambia, we would be happy to make that connection if that's useful. So please do not hesitate to write us. We are very happy to do the matchmaking for you. Any other question from colleagues that has not been answered in chat, please flag.
Hands up, Anshu, as well.
Sorry. Sophie, will you help me moderate? I am not seeing
Sure,
hands.
no problem. First hand is Mandikutsa Tembo. Apologies for the pronunciation. Followed by Alessandra and then Janani.
Yeah, thank you. That was actually pretty good. But Mandy is also fine. So I had put the question in the chat, but I'm not sure that it was answered. And it was just around, there are quite a few moving pieces and things that have different timelines. Wondering, will we get a prompt from our focal person to say, at this point we need this, at this point we need that? Because I think that would be really helpful. Or is that something that will be in the PDF that you're going to share at a later stage?
So the timelines are going to be in the PDF. The presentations are going to be shared with you, but your focal point is going to be constantly in touch with you, and it is their responsibility to be following up with you and also flagging that this deadline is coming. We technically have just 2 deadlines, but we do want to adhere to those timelines, and also noting that August is a slow month. So yes. Alessandra?
Thank you, and good morning, good afternoon, everybody. I have one point to share and one communication. I just wanted to take the opportunity to really support and highlight the perspective of diversity and inclusion that the Global Forum for Adolescents is proposing, and I really very happy to hear this. And specifically, when it comes to the disability inclusion perspective, we discussed this in different moments, but it would be really great to have speakers with different diverse background in different platforms and different panels. But I also understand that it's not always easy for everybody to reach different constituencies. And I wanted to highlight that the International Disability in Development Consortium that I'm representing here is also very much available to support the other panels to identify speakers that have a disability or would be able to bring that perspective into the different panels to really ensure diversity. This in addition to the panel that is dedicated to disability inclusion that is already in the program. So I just want to say, please feel free to reach out to me. I will be happy to, in representation of the network, support the initiative throughout the preparation. And thanks a lot for organizing this call. Back to you. Thanks.
Thank you so much. That is truly a very generous offer. Colleagues, please feel free to reach out to Alessandra and keep your focal point in loop, and we are happy to help as required. The next one that I see is Janani. Please do come in.
Hey, I'm just wondering if we have to pre-record our sessions.
We would advise if you would like to pre-record because of the different time zones, but I think that's a discussion that you may want to take up in your group a little more in detail. But in most of the times, we are recommending that the bulk of the session be pre-recorded. But again, it's very much on a case-by-case basis. Simon, if you, Callie, if you could just bear with me. I have Sophie, who's my colleague Sophie, who's put her hand up. Sophie, do you have a point of clarification around the pre-recording?
Yes, I just wanted to clarify because we've had this kind of question from a lot of partners. Yes, we are giving the option of being pre-recorded as well as live on the day of. But of course, for certain elements, as Andrew said, we would prefer you to pre-record. Of course, if there's a video that people want to react to, in case there's a speaker who's not available, please feel free to pre-record that speaker and then have the audience respond to that panelist. We've seen some creativity already this past week from certain groups who are going to be doing a 15-minute video recording and then the other part of it be live. So there's a lot of flexibility, but it's good for us to know which elements will be pre-recorded because we have to also work with the platform and its limitations as well as its opportunities. So good for us to know as part of the run of show already what you're going to be recording and what is going to be live. Back to you, Anju.
Thanks very much, Sophie. Janani, I hope that was helpful. Kali, please do come in.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for this very helpful session. This is a bit of a reiteration of some of the questions, but we haven't had our group meeting yet with our focal points. So I'm curious if PMNCH will be coming to those meetings with kind of a suggestion of the way forward for the group. I think what I'm hearing from everybody on the call so far is that by merging 3, 5, 6 different sessions, each session had a slightly different idea, right? A slightly different angle, slightly different thematic perspective. And of course, each session had 3 to 5 speakers they had proposed. And so as a group, we'll have to essentially come up with a brand new session. And I'm wondering if PMNCH's focal points will be kind of proposing how you envision those sessions to come together, or what lens you expect us to bring, since there are going to be so many different technical points of view on the call on different thematic areas. And so how we can move that forward without, because it's a bit of recreating sessions or a lot of recreating sessions. And I want to make sure that the burden, it's a very large burden to ask of people. So I'm kind of curious how we're thinking about moving that forward and making sure it ultimately aligns with what your expectations are for the session.
Yes, and I will pass it to Sophie, but just to say we've done that homework for you. So when we've merged the sessions, we've picked up key threads and we've given you a kind of a blurb or an abstract to work with. But again, I mean, this depends on the conversations that you're having with colleagues, and the only request from our side would be that the session title has to explain the key and the dominant theme emerging. So yes, in very short, you will have an answer. And I am then also requesting Sophie to come in with more information.
Thanks, Callie, and thanks for the question and Anju for the handover. I think one of the things we've been doing this week, at least, is every single core group session we've had is that PMNCH has come forward with the kind of proposed structure, very loose, but of kind of plotting partners to what we thought their strengths were and bringing it in. It's not prescriptive, you can work from it, but it's a way to keep the conversation, get the conversation rolling in these group meetings. So far, I'd say it worked very well. Of course, people are coming with different perspectives and we've tried to be conscious of that as well. But there is a lot of synergies in these sessions. And of course, when we link it back to the overarching goal of Global Forum for Adolescents, which is commitment making, political and financial commitments for adolescent well-being, it's with that lens that then this session should be structured alongside the objectives that we've also plotted for you. So I think it's about forward thinking. I think we've had a few sessions this week. I mean, SRHR for one brought together a lot of different characters, a lot of different really big organizations, and how does that also then come off of when Women Deliver was one of the questions we've asked in the conversation. Resilience, we also had the same thing. We had a bit of a prompt that we put forward, so in a way that we didn't come blindly into the conversation, but there is something for you to chew on as well. Also, the suggestion is that some people have been doing, Callie, is that people have been emailing each other already off the bat. As you know, we are in the midst of August coming up and vacation days, so it's been really helpful to see partners already kind of engage with each other and not wait on PMNCH as much as we're trying to organize those doodle polls as fast as we can. Hope that helps.
Yeah, thank you very much, Sophie. I just wanted to reiterate, I hear some concerns that bringing together partners it may not necessarily, it may make the working a little more difficult. But we worked with partners before, you are all champions of an issue. Once you come together in the same room, look at the advantage that we have. You have a bigger network, you have more access to speakers, and then each session becomes unique because you're united in promoting some messages and amplifying. So I think this, from our side, from PMNCH side, we have experience of working in a similar fashion, bringing together partners on various issues. This has been very successful and has been a very strong messaging point that we bring together partners on a specific issue and then use those networks to amplify and leverage. So I hope that's useful. I appreciate there are concerns, but we are here to support and help, and we will land in a good place because this builds on the work that all of you have done over the last few months. It's just a matter of now getting the last nuts and bolts down. We are nearly at the top of the hour. We have 2 minutes left, and any last questions, anything else from the chat that has not been answered? And again, this is not a one-off conversation. Please feel free to reach out if there are questions that have not been answered. Put them in the chat. We will monitor and get back to you, or individually also. Please write to Sophie, myself, David. Sophie, if we could flash that slide so people take note of email IDs and reach out to us. Super, thank you. Anything else from colleagues on the call? And we really hope this session has been useful and you're able to come back to us with suggestions, guidance. Sophie, you have your hand up for your last message, turning over to you, and also to David.
Thanks so much. I just wanted to say thank you everyone for joining today. And I just want to say, in interest of organizing these core sessions as quickly as possible, if you have not filled out your doodle poll or having difficulties doing so, please do so as soon as possible. We are trying to organize these calls as best of our ability, and we would really like to hear back from you. So thank you very much.
And these are exciting times indeed. I mean, we are at the cusp of the forum, and I do want to take a moment to invite Helga to say a few words. But before I do that, we do have a colleague who has her hand up. Shaima, please come in. We don't hear you very well.
That's Professor Maisa from Dr. Shaima's office. I couldn't reach you through my computer due to technical difficulties, and I've been listening to the conversation and glad about how procedures are going. I just want to confirm upon our next meeting that we are going to put our subjects or topics together and then do some sorting and arrangement for the sequence. Who is going to speak first and then who is going to check in next, so that we can keep the discussion congruent and visible for our audience.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. If there are no other questions and if there are no other queries, I'm handing it over to Helga. Helga, over to you.
Thank you so much, and thank you for this discussion, and looking so much forward to great work here. And thank you for all your efforts, and best of luck. Keep in touch, and also reach out if there is any questions, concerns, or areas that we can help with or help each other. Thank you, and have a nice evening or morning and afternoon. Bye-bye from our side.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye for now, and to be continued. We're on a journey here. Bye.